pictures of concerts will be like,
Mm-hmm.
like what concerts will look like. Maybe a drive-in concert. I would be so down for that. That sounds
Mm-hmm.
like it was so much fun. Um, but it would probably be a lot less people able to see
Unless
what's
they're in like a massive parking lot, like a massive, like an IKEA parking lot.
or like a stadium
Yeah.
that has something on the ground that obviously people's like oil leaks won't get all over a field.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, but the money from the concert would not be. So
True.
the venue would probably find a way to be okay with it.
But then imagine leaving that place as well. If it was like on a field, everybody's parked up. Imagine.
Everyone's in their cars ready to go right back the way they came.
Just reverse for like hours of concert traffic.
drive like a million miles in one direction, and then you just driving back the exact thing.
Yeah.
Make friends with the cars next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or maybe they like break down the stage very quickly, and you can go just straight out that way.
One giant loop.
Just one loop. Yeah. Yeah. I can't think of a random question. I mean, I guess that was it. Can you guys think of a random question?
If there was a movie about your life, who would you have play you? And I don't even know the answer for myself, so.
Yes, force you to come up with the answer first. I'm just kidding.
I love Gabrielle Union. I would totally be down for her to play me in something. That'd be great.
That would totally work.
Yeah, I really like her a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my final answer. My final answer.
I don't know, because I'm trying to think of like who looks like me, but I can't think of anyone.
It doesn't even have to be like, I don't know if like, I don't know if you'd
necessarily, and this might be counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's I think right now the blondest blonde, but I could actually see Dove Cameron playing you.
Oh.
I could actually see her playing you and doing it like a good job at it. Like
that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I kind of, for some reason, I'm thinking, who is the woman in Bohemian Rhapsody? I think she's just really cool. Lucy something.
Lucy something.
Yeah, she's just cool. She's very stylish.
Yeah.
Also does the winged eyeliner, I think. I think I've seen pictures with the winged eyeliner, so.
I feel like we bonded over this at one point, Jess, where I was like, her looks and your look like could really be a thing. I feel like we bonded over that.
Maybe that's where subconsciously it's coming from, because I don't know why. Yeah. There you go.
Well, that's a thing, for sure.
That's a great answer.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Okay, so this is gonna sound so boastful, and that's not my intention. But if Meghan Markle still acted, I think she could play me.
Oh yes, I can see that.
Or Zendaya, although Zendaya is like way tall, but yeah, I just think they could.
I like those answers.
Those are great answers. Yes.
Just phone up Meghan and just be like, hey, look, I know you don't act anymore.
Can you do the movie of my life real quick? Just.
Please.
Yeah. That's, you know what? On that note, let's get this show started. That was a perfect note to get this show started. A big hello to our Twitch users and viewers. Welcome to the Arghon AI Twitch live stream. My name is Paula, and I am your host today. I'm joined by the lovely Jess and the lovely Lauren. Hey, ladies. We are excited to be with you all today, and today is our Topic Tuesday. Topic Tuesday formatting looks like we pick a few news articles pertaining to the subject of artificial intelligence. We pick out the articles, we summarize it a little bit, and we discuss amongst ourselves as well as whomever is watching this right now as to what their thoughts are about the articles. Do not worry, you can follow along with us because we are posting every time a new article comes up. We post it to our chat. If you have any questions or comments about the subject of artificial intelligence, where you're coming from, what your current interests and hobbies are during this time of quarantine, let us know. Let us know. Well, ladies, how is it going today for you?
Fine.
Great.
Good.
I'm ready to get into it.
All right. Okay. Let's get started. Okay. The first article is called Perfectly Imperfect, Coping with the Flaws of Artificial Intelligence. This is by Neil Sahota, and it is from Forbes. The article is talking about, what is an acceptable failure rate? Where do things kind of fall short of being perfect? There is nothing that is foolproof. Even when you go any place, any form of machinery, nothing is foolproof. The example that was given, one of the first examples given in this article, was even an airplane. It's not a zero fail rate, but it is very low. Same thing goes with machines and artificial intelligence, that it's not always going to be perfect, and there are three factors that really affect the fact that it is not perfect. The first factor is implicit bias. Implicit bias is basically, an AI has to learn from someone. Someone has to, code the artificial intelligence brain, create, certain standards and, strainers. I hate to, not strainers, but, things that are put through the AI, that the AI can then interpret whether something is good or bad, or this or that. There always needs to be some form of information given to the AI for it to separate into different compartments and
functions. Yeah.
Yes.
It's needed to perform functions. Yeah.
Yes. This is very much an interesting first point because a few weeks back, we were speaking about an AI that was created, to recognize people's face. And from that recognition of the person's face, it would say, this is who you are, and we know you as this, but depending on the color of your skin, which was that article, it brought up all of these biases of, criminal records, even though these people didn't have criminal records. It was something that, that implicit bias of how the artificial intelligence was created was something brought to the forefront. Implicit bias also looks like there was an AI. AI was used in a fostering situation, and the company that utilized the AI had implicit bias. Whomever made the tool to screen the families who were fostering children, they took into consideration certain facets that wouldn't necessarily discount you or discredit you in other situations, but for this tool specifically, it almost sent up red flags. Those two things were, I do believe it was
Poverty was one.
poverty. Okay, so your socioeconomic status was basically something that, you know, disqualified you from being a fit for the foster children. Um, so once again, the first point of this article, speaking about implicit bias, is basically, you know, humans are a major driving force of you know, creating the artificial intelligence brain. So what ideally can happen for the future is, you know, human beings' own biases will not be so much of a factor in creating an AI brain. Because where there is bias in the human being, that bias will actually trickle over into whatever is created. That is why it is so important to make a team that is, you know, well-rounded individuals coming from all different walks of life and different cultures, different backgrounds, different life experiences. It really does make for an artificial intelligence brain that is, you know, more considerate of those circumstances.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like Arghon AI, if you ask me. But anyways, I'm getting off point because I still have 2 more points to make. The second challenge is data. So with the data, the parts with data was, it depends on what is being put into the AI. So if the data is too wide ranging and not actually specifically focused on whatever a company is looking to get out of the AI analysis, it's almost too broad of a topic to give you that curated, specific answer that you are looking for. Where on the opposite end of that, if it is not varied enough in the actual, you know, pool that you are testing, say you are looking at, you know, health trends in the medical field. If you only survey women, you have missed like a whole, you've missed many different components of what you are actually looking to get out of the AI, which can cause an AI to give you inaccurate answers because what was put into the AI was not what you were necessarily looking for. So that is how AI can be imperfect. But also, the thing is that when doing studies, you know, you have to make sure that there's a clear understanding of what you are trying to get out of the analysis. What are the results you are seeking? You know, what is the point of doing the analysis if the pool that you have put into the AI to analyze is not all encompassing of what you are actually looking for. I think with anything that would cause error, and you know, it makes sense that data would be a big component to an AI possibly not giving you what you need if the data input into the AI is not correct or accurate or varied enough, you know, or too general. Anyways, you all understand what I'm saying. The third facet was,
It's the computer.
It is. The third facet was,
It's just that suspense, isn't it?
implicit bias, data, and
Let me get it.
okay, now it's working.
Expectations.
Now it's working. Expectations. Okay. With the expectations,
It doesn't have to be a direct quote. We can just kind of talk from memory and what we think.
okay. With the expectations, okay, because I just explained something and then it's kind of revisiting that idea of when you are utilizing artificial intelligence for one specific reason, when it is too broad of an understanding, the AI can be something that not is not necessarily understanding what the user is wanting out of it. Also, with expectations, I do believe. Oh, I remember this now. It just came back to me. With the expectations, they used an example of in the medical field with doctors. So with doctors, I think right now it's like one out of about 20% there will be a misdiagnosis. Whereas with an AI, taking in all of the patient's symptoms and whatever they're experiencing, I think it's 1 in 100,000. The article said was the fail rate. So people expect a computer to be perfect all of the time, and that's just not the truth of anything in life. Is that nothing is foolproof. But the thing about this was that people would actually still prefer to go to a human doctor than utilize an AI for the expectation that it should be absolutely perfect, and it just doesn't work like that anywhere. Which is also a thing in the medical field, is that people also expect doctors to be perfect as well, and that's just not a reality in the medical field as well. So there was an example of an AI that was put up, and too many various opinions were filtered through the AI, and it almost like altered the way the AI functioned, because there weren't certain, I'm going to say almost like filtering methods were put in place, but they weren't put in place. Therefore, the AI just became this thing that everyone made it that was utilizing it, and it actually had to be taken down because there's so much, there's still a limitation on human society, and what we are utilizing AI for. And this poor AI was just inundated with like hateful things, and it just it caused the AI to malfunction in a way, be used for something that it wasn't originally intended. So implicit bias, poor data, and people expectations are the three factors that go into artificial intelligence being perfectly imperfect. But I really do appreciate what artificial intelligence is, because I mean we still use it, and AI still has so much value and so much to offer the humans that are interacting with it, that yeah, I'll take the chances. In terms of what we saw here with the medical doctor, how about 20% of real doctors will possibly misdiagnose, as opposed to 1 in 100,000 of an AI. I'm still willing to take those chances, because at the end of the day, the AI's capability to make life easier and provide services that would be much more time consuming, it's still there. The components of help, the components of efficiency it's still what makes AI AI, you know. So yeah, ladies, what are your thoughts on these three facets that make AI perfectly imperfect?
Well, I think it's funny. Oh no, Lauren, did you want to go?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Like I was kind of saying to you ladies before we got on stream that it's interesting because it's sort of like when humans start a new job, right? You need to be trained for that. So of course, you know, if an AI doesn't have the correct data or you know it's got these biases, then of course it's not going to do the best job that it can. So, you know, it's sort of trying to be again that stereotype of AI that you see in movies where it's always this negative thing, but yet people still expect AI machines to be perfect all of the time, but us as humans are not perfect all of the time. So I think it's just about sort of educating, and that's why we're on this Twitch channel to kind of spread awareness because nothing in the world is perfect. I'm sure everybody's heard their mum say that to them, you know, hundreds of times. You know, it's nothing is ever perfect. So I think it's really unfair to kind of brand AI as this perfect thing because then it's just set up for failure. So yeah, I just feel like it's really important to sort of educate yourself on AI and sort of how it's going to be a positive influence in the world, instead of sort of looking at it like they're gonna take over the world and it's gonna literally be like, you know, perfect from the get-go, and we're not going to have any jobs, or you know, again it's that collaboration between human AI. Us humans are going to make the AIs, you know, so much better, depending on the data that we give it. So it's interesting because yeah, I think people just set themselves up for that failure almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's there's so much to understand about AI that I think, you know, again, so much of what's influenced people's understanding of it has been film. And then where they have interacted with machines, it's things like, you know, some digital device that either plays movies or you press a button and you get a result. And there isn't a whole lot of sophistication in say that vending machine experience. Of course, yes,
Yeah.
there is building it and you know temperature control and certain things, but generally people's interactions with machines have been very transactional, very simplistic, and so there's not much to, you know, that get it now.
Yeah.
Um, Not much to building out the process of getting something right away, and so you end up finding that the similar expectations are placed onto something far more sophisticated and complex like artificial intelligence. There's an expectation that people are going to, you know, I press the button, I should get the result and it should be perfect. In the same way that if I press, you know, F5 on my vending machine, I should get the chips or the candy bar or the juice that I purchase. But we have to even remember for those same machines, you know, how many times have we had to shake or hit a vending machine to get that chip back,
Mm-hmm.
right? In every single area, there is that flaw. There is oops, it didn't work this one time or didn't work quite perfectly. But again, because and also so often artificial intelligence is accessed via voice, like a talking communication back and forth. And so I think too we expect AI to be just like us right now. When the truth is that, you know, building you know neural networks and all the components that are involved in artificial intelligence, whether it's, you know, the machine learning aspects or the, you know, image recognition and so on, all of those elements start off with just a raw functional um, base. And it's the information that's added to it, it's the interactions that are had with it over time that really stack up to, oh, this is my experience, this is what I know, this is, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, there is the way we describe it is it's like AI is in its infancy, right? And you don't go to an infant and expect, you know, perfection. You go, okay, it's still learning, it's still adjusting.
Mm-hmm.
And when it gets to, you know, adolescence, then there's more expectation. When it gets to adulthood and maturity, then, you know, of course, you're expecting certain things to be worked out and smooth and what have you. And so it's a similar thing when we talk about artificial intelligence, right? Absolutely, artificial intelligence is going to be, you know, by far and away ahead, um, in the next decade or so. But it's really important for people to temper their expectation with the reality, which is it has to be built and it has to be considered in order for that to um, for it to be just the seamless perfect experience. And even then there will always be some margin of error. And then as it pertains to implicit bias, I mean, we say it all the time, so I don't even think we need to harp on it, but we say it all the time that it matters so much who is building your AI, and it matters so much what kind of information they gather, that everything is representative, and that it's deep enough as far as what you have, that you get more precise information, more accurate information. So, they're agreed. AI is perfectly imperfect, and I don't think for us as a company, we certainly don't pretend that it is any other way.
Mm-hmm.
It is a thing that's built like any other thing. Not exactly, but you know what I'm saying. It's like any other man-made device. There will be the flaws
Mm-hmm.
that are involved.
Mm-hmm. We've got a comment as well. So it's Andre Lamus. Hello, thank you for tuning in. Is this
Hi.
only relevant to supervised only?
I'm not sure what that means.
Can you repeat that question?
Is this only relevant to supervised only?
So are you saying
Like the AI, I think.
intelligence building? Were you referring to something that Paula had said specifically before? Just let us know so we can answer your question.
Yeah. But thank you for commenting.
Thank you for commenting.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
So Paula, in the meantime, will you carry us forward, host?
Yes, I shall do that. I shall do that. The next article, we are talking about democratizing artificial intelligence is a double-edged sword. Lauren, this is your article. Take it away.
All right, so yeah, this article is from strategy-business.com, written by Anand Rao, and it's called Democratizing Artificial Intelligence is a Double-Edged Sword. And the subheading is More access to AI tools means more innovation, but the process of providing this access must be carefully managed. And it's very true. When we talk about kind of democratizing artificial intelligence, it's essentially it's opening artificial intelligence to programmers, to solutions creators, to generally multiple individuals, coders, whatnot, can come in and create tools, use certain whatever language you're using to create your AI, and kind of build for a certain business or specialization, or one or many kinds of needs. And so in that process, what happens when you open up an AI so that multiple people can contribute is that, in the wonderful utopian version of things, everybody brings their best to the space. So if they're a data scientist or analyst, or if they are, a hardcore programmer, or if they are a business leader and visionary who want to create a certain product or interaction, they're able to do so. And they do so in good faith and creating things that are highly useful and effective. So whether they essentially drop their code, they drop in, um, you know, whatever skills and tools into the larger AI. All of it contributes to the AI's knowledge base and its algorithms that allows for certain processes, programs, end results, functions, tools to exist. And it would all of that would happen. It would be secure. There'd be no errors, no issues. Great. But of course, the reality of life, as we said, this space is an imperfect space, is a little different from that. And so if we're democratizing AI, we're making it so that more people can use it. It's more accessible to a broader swath of people because I'm a coder, I make a tool in AI, that means every person can use it. Even in all of that, there are things that present as problems. Some of it is what Paula mentioned before. So you've got bias, right? Biases of the programmers and of the data collectors running things through a program for a result also have bias, um, or may have implicit bias. And they can be. You can also have a situation where if it's open, Think about it. You've got a lot of people contributing to one thing, but all of those people are not carbon copies of one another. So you've got, a coder coming from one culture and one experience, and another one coming from another culture and another experience, and then all of these people are operating in different industries with different needs, different expectations. Maybe they know different languages, right? And so, given that, they each have, a different way of thinking through a solution, and that can also that sorry that can create clutter, as well as lead to massive errors that can be catastrophic depending on what's um, being coded for. But there are solutions to that. There are ways that, as this article presents, there are ways that these certain errors and errors can be mitigated, as well as controls can be placed on AI, opening AI, that allow for a more uniform and consistent result that preferably has as little bias as possible. So, some of the ways that this happens is, you got to look at what things are you going to democratize. If you are an AI company and you're like, all right, we want people to come in, we want them to be able to hook up their devices, we want them to be able to run through our AI and crunch out results and develop models for certain processes. You've got to look at what things will you expose, right? Um, Data security is really important. Everyone should not be able to access everything, both from the overarching company as well as individual programmers and services that are being created.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I have, speaking generally here, not about Arghon, but Company X. Company X is an AI company. And they say, okay, gates are open. You can come in and you can code using some of the tools we have, but you can code for AI. You can build your models. And we've got Business Y. Now, Business Y is a medical organization, and so they're crunching through population data so that they can determine the spread of an illness. Right? It's really important that that data be sequestered for them and not accessed by everyone at X company and so on. So things like that, where you go, okay, so who gets access to what? That Business Y should not access the private information either of Business X. So it's having specific controls in place that protect all parties involved. Things like ensuring that you have common language so that, if one coder in New York is doing something and then another coder in Turkey is creating something, both can they integrate well with the system, and it's a seamless experience when you go from one service to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at, how do we make this possible? This article by Anand Rao, Democratizing AI, presents a few solutions that I think are going to be useful for anybody in this position, any company in this position. So the first thing is know your users. Know who you're opening up your AI to. Is it the casual user, just someone who wants to use the tool, doesn't have really any programming knowledge, but is looking for, if I press F5, I get chips. They don't want to know about the springs in the background. They don't want to know about the mechanics and the gears. They just want a result. Then you have the power user. This is someone who's like, I'm still here for the chips, but what I really, I know that, in the vending machine needs to be this degree level of cool so that something can come out. So, blow on the, I don't know, whatever. But basically you create these really, a power user knows a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes to be able to get in there and make things extra work for them. And then you have the specialist. So the specialist is someone who's like, they code, they know what it is to build these systems. So that's like the person who builds the vending machines from scratch, knows how it works, doesn't need to shake it. They know you just need to press this side button here because, that will reset the whole system or whatever. So knowing your users is really important because then you know what language works for them. If you have a very casual user, that person cannot be can't be told when there's an error or something to create. Hey, yeah, go around the back end and put in this line of code and then troubleshoot this over here, and you should be good to go once you press R6, whatever, right? That can't be what you say to that person. That's not going to be understandable. right? And the same goes for each group. Each group needs the language that is most appropriate to them, but will allow them to interact with your systems and what you're creating smoothly. Um, you got to think about who's going to be accessing these tools, these models, and have these people been appropriately trained?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, these are not just about the tools; it's also about the underlying concepts. Do they know how your AI works? Do they know how the system flows? Um, you can have something that's drag and drop, but if they don't have the proper, let's say, data to input because they've not been told, hey, this is how your data needs to be organized, they're going to get an error message and then they're going to say, you, AI company, are at fault. So it's really important that you know who you're dealing with so that way you can guide people through in a way that makes sense, in a way that's smooth and that minimizes the likelihood of error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have those three people who you need to know about. But you also got to think about, if we're talking about training, if we're talking about governance, ways to kind of reduce the risk that's involved with exposing your AI. You've got to you got to give adequate training. So they might an untrained person just doesn't know, hey, you have to split your data this way, or hey, you got to run this many tests so that you actually have the proper number of whatever for your results. It fits the margin of error. It's great. Things like data governance. So I'm going to give you the 5 points that are underneath training and governance that are used to solve this problem. You've got training, data governance, model governance, intellectual property rights, and then finally open sourcing. It just talks about the whole thing. So as we've already mentioned the training. Basically, moving from just providing access to simulating the safe use of AI tools, training the casual. This is a quote. Training the casual or power users with the appropriate foundations of data science is critical. Let's talk about data governance. So you've got to establish clarity of ownership, right? Who is controlling what data? You have access to this, you don't have access to that. As we said before, if you're dealing with things like, your medical science, right? People don't, the public should not be able to access that data, but that means also that maybe the AI company doesn't access that, right? In the same way, you don't want stuff that belongs to the larger organization going down to these individuals, potential competitors, so on. And so you have to kind of establish this clarity of ownership, this transparency that allows for data to be traced. You know where it came from, you know who said it, when they said it, but more than that, like, if there's tests and studies, knowing clearly how to attribute information allows for a more clear evaluation of the results that are received.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so to minimize the risk, models should be built using data that is monitored, secured, and understood. Model governance. So organizations often have model governance as part of corporate compliance activity, but few are monitoring the other elements involved in an AI system as closely as they should. So you've got to determine, are these models that we're using? So if we're going to look at population density, and something about that, we tabulate that to figure out the spread of a disease. You got to make sure that model itself has a balance of accuracy, fairness, and can be clearly explained. You don't want to have things that become so convoluted that when there's an error or when someone says, wait, why did that company say that was the result? There's no clear path to an explanation. So it's really important that the things that are used, the tools that are being built, the models created via algorithms, have a really clear through point for people to follow. And so you make all of those wonderful models. You go from that power user to being a specialist because you were trained and it was excellent and great. Well, let's talk about what happens now when you've got a bunch of information that you're dealing with and you're putting through the system, right? The question is, do you own that information, right? Did you get that, company Y, which is doing med tech, might have done their own study and this is information that they've gathered. But, there's someone else over here. Perhaps they are a skin generator for a new program and they just push it through the AI and it tabulates your favorite this, that, and the other thing. And so it gives you a pink skin for every screen you want to have up. Maybe those flowers or those pictures or those different images are not original to that creator, right? So then we get into issues of intellectual property rights. So you might democratize it, but you don't know necessarily when people come in, are they giving you stuff that they have every right to access? So basically what it says is a number of companies refuse to use cloud platforms or image or audio processing out of fear that confidential info will be processed outside of their four walls, and that could cloud solution provider blah blah blah. So basically there's not just it's not just what people bring in, but it's also if we let them in and they start making tools and they're aware and they're working around in our system, there's also wait a second, what if they take what they learn here and they go elsewhere, right? So with most of these issues, what you'll find is it's a two-way street. It's equally as important that rights are respected from the people who are coming in, but as well that the company's rights are respected,
Right.
rights are respected. And so it's really important when you design systems, when we're talking about artificial intelligence, it's so important that we design systems that are welcoming, that can bring the public into the space, into the industry, but are inclusive. That being said, it's so important that in each part of the process, there is a really clear process for going through it. A clear process for this is yours, this is theirs, this is yours, this is theirs. There needs to be a lot of transparency in artificial intelligence. And so, that being said, I want to make a parallel because we've kind of run through the elements of the article. I want to make a parallel between what we've read here and what we do at Arghon. Arghon is an artificial intelligence company that is open to the public, open for use by the casual user as well as the power user. Arghon users become power users and convert into specialists because one of the things that we do really well is we train. We train our basically you can come in from having never coded before or being an experienced coder, go through our program, and then you become certified as an AI coder using our proprietary language called ColliScript. So when we built Arghon, we looked at the fact that no AI worth its salt is an island unto itself. We want and we welcome the public to be in this experience, right? And at the same time, it's so important that what is created, both we be protected from the other people who might be on the system, as well as us protecting ourselves, and everything being attributed properly, right? So when you come into our system, you are, and you make, let's say, you want to customize your AI. So you say, you know what I want to do? I'm going to go to arghon.com/vision 2020, and I'm going to learn to program. Well, now that you have that completely free knowledge and you know how to program and you can create things, you build for your Arghon a special counter that helps you, like a calendar that helps you go through the day. Arghon has a calendar, but let's say you want to make your own. Well, you're going to put things in that calendar that you don't necessarily want the next Arghon user to see. And that is something that we've already thought of. So again, the things that you create are private. If you would like to share it, there's a whole process where you can actually say, hey, Arghon, I'd like this to be something that's available across the platform.
Yeah.
Right? And then, so for us, that would go through a process of evaluation. We determine, does this make sense? Does it work? And then, if it meets our standards, then it can be released and accessed by the user base. But what you see there is a few things. There's attribution, right? We know whose that new calendar is, and there's also a process to protect us. It creates that wall to ensure that, okay, we can check that there are no crazy IP infringements. That it's tested, it works. We see that it actually is of use.
Yeah.
And you've been trained. You've gone through Vision 2020. You've learned how to actually create for the system. So what we've done is really consider. It's a very well considered AI process. It's a very well considered open system here. So we encourage people to, if you got through all of that, to go to Vision 2020 and sign up for it. Arghon.com/Vision 2020 and sign up because it's completely free. You learn how to code AI and you can do all of this. And what's great is it's quick, it's easy, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in these programs just hearing theory all day. You're actually practicing. We believe in hands-on learning.
Yeah.
Right? For us, training is about getting the impact, getting the result in the most effective manner. And again, that's sometimes through actual physical practice, being able to say, okay, I've learned, I've experimented, and now I can go at it.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't be afraid. You hear articles like this, and they're very technical, but the truth is that AI is as much. It's like building blocks. It's like a construction or Lego set. You can create anything in Arghon. You can have the most sophisticated house, um, you know entertainment setup because you have all these different lights and systems connected and communicating to Arghon. And at the same time, that there's safety in how it is established. So again, what works for you is not going over to anybody else. Information in your Arghon stays with your Arghon, and it's not something that we access or see either. So we really created a system that considers all of these things, these major and having said that, now I open the floor to Jess and to Paula because I want, and to our users here. So comment, let us know. What are your thoughts on the requirements and this Anand Rao's statements about what is necessary to have safe democratizing of AI?
Well, I think again it brings up that point of training. Obviously, the past article is sort of talking about training in regards to the AI, but I think in the workplace, of course, training is going to be necessary. I think, don't be afraid that one day you're going to rock up to work and an AI is going to be there and your manager, your boss is going to be like, fend for yourself, figure it out. There will be a transition period and we're going through it now. So again, with the initiative that we have, Vision 2020, I mean, you can literally upskill yourself, you can learn to code, and it kind of makes that leap less daunting. And data is always going to be a massive one within the AI space, but again, to try and transition it into Arghon, like, it's something that we take so seriously, and every company should. So even in regards to when you're talking to Arghon, you can choose what information you give it. And we've never sold data. We would never sell data. So I think it's really sort of encouraging to read an article like this, because we know as a company that we've already thought about those things and we've been thinking about those things for years. So people just got to get on our level.
Yeah.
I say that with all humility.
Yes, there has to be the utmost care and consideration when creating an artificial intelligence. You can't just have a one size fits all
Yeah.
for all of these things that really do need to take into consideration the safety and the security of the user, as well as the people who are behind making certain facets of the AI, but as well as the business owners of the AI. If the care and consideration is really put in, there should be the checks and balances that are being met throughout every step of the process.
Yeah.
To think that certain AIs are being made by people who are just like copy paste, it can't always be done by like that. There is very much a nuance in what you are specifically trying to offer the users of said AI, that it can't always be just mass produced in that way. It is nice for everyone to be able to use an AI that someone has created, but without these things being thought about in the creation process, it just would leave you open to like a world of issues, and it's just problematic to think about that. It just is, it's too much. Standards and guidelines are needed within the creation of anything. So it is nice to be a part of a company that has taken into consideration standards, guidelines, security, permissions. These things can always need to be a part of the conversation when speaking about artificial intelligence, because it is going to be something that will be used by a wide range of people, from the youngest people to the oldest people in the world. It will be used all around the world. So when we think about creating anything for such a wide group of people, for it to be easy to use, for it to still be secure, safe, and something that people feel like they can work with and it not work like override them. It has to be in the topic of conversation throughout the whole process of creating an artificial intelligence brain. Safety, security, permissions, standards, guidelines. These things should go without saying that should be a part of how you move. Lauren, you're muted. Sorry.
Yeah, what you said is really a key, that it's important that these things be put in.
Yeah.
But I think part of why it bears being said, even though you almost think, isn't this the basic that's
Yeah.
happening, is that there is such a zeal and an excitement about artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oftentimes innovation is made where you act first and then you adjust later, right? And for artificial intelligence, this is a space that is so full of hype and so full of doomsayers and yes-sayers, and then the people in the middle who are like, I don't know what's happening. And you end up with this sometimes this I imagine writers like this sometimes feel like they're screaming into the wind about all of the regulation that needs to happen. And the truth is that they're right. The regulation does need to happen. These guidelines and expect these proper expectations about how you operate and how you build need to be set into place. And I think what happens is that you so often get people who are just like, wait, we know how to do this. We can, let's just go at it. And that is necessary. That is part of the entrepreneurial side of technology. But as you say, having these nuanced conversations, these sophisticated conversations, is so key, as they help to clarify for all involved what the stakes are. All right. Well, thank you for
Thank you. And thank you for presenting the article. It was definitely an interesting read, and got the juices flowing, and got the conversation really going. For those who are watching right now, our Twitch users and viewers, if you are reading along with the articles, let us know what you think. What are your questions? Do you have any questions for us pertaining to artificial intelligence? What do you think about the democratizing of AI as a double-edged sword? Yes, thank you for that, Lord. Last, but certainly not least, Jess is going to tell us about how scientists develop AI system to detect wildfire-prone regions.
I am. Woo! That is correct.
Woo!
So yeah, it's kind of funny going from the two previous articles to kind of something that is sort of in an industry again, or even in a place in the world that you wouldn't necessarily think AI would fit. But again, that is why we're on this Twitch channel, to kind of discuss these articles, because it's important to show whoever's tuning in that AI can be involved in loads of different stuff. You can get your creative juices flowing. As Paul always says, we're all creative beings, so it's always fun to have articles like this. So this is from Business Times, and it's written by Arianne G. So as Paula said, I will just repeat it. The article title is Scientists Develop AI System to Detect Wildfire-Prone Regions. So it is as it sounds. So scientists have found a way to use AI to map out regions where wildfire will most likely hit. I know in the recent years, especially in the UK, we've heard quite a lot about this. So we know, climate change, all of that, it's getting really, really bad. So it's really cool to hear, again, that we're kind of using AI in a positive way. So a team of experts have worked together to develop a deep learning model that's able to map levels of fuel moisture in fine detail across western states of the US. And basically how they do this is using orbital imagery to kind of track all of this. And it's interesting because this article doesn't just talk about the AI side, it talks about how it currently is. So it says that how a region is tested now is manually. So humans have to go out, collect, branches, foliage, and then test those samples to gauge the water content. And the article does say, it's reliable and it's very accurate, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of manpower. And that's what we again mention a lot on this Twitch channel, is that AI can be something that kind of aids people, and it can do, the more strenuous work or the more time consuming stuff. So apparently one of their big breakthroughs was to look at a newer set of satellites that are using much longer wavelengths. So it allows the observations to be sensitive to water, much deeper into the forest canopies, and it directly represents the fuel moisture content within it. So the team have said that obviously the system does need further testing and work for it to fit into the fire management plans. But the fact that experts now have a clear insight in terms of forest dryness, that is apparently a huge breakthrough within the fire studies. So yeah, and I think they do mention right at the end, it's really interesting to kind of think about that, especially the state of the world we're currently in. We're going through a pandemic, we're going through having quarantine, we're having to stay inside. So what happens when those wildfires start happening and say we're not out of this? How can that kind of help prevent those fires? Or, how can that help with mass evacuations and even sort of the first responders on site? So I think it's incredible that we can use an AI in that way, that it can kind of, prevent the fires, and it can kind of flag, the emergencies to us humans. And then, especially again, while we're in the pandemic, we can then start planning ahead and think, hey, how can we, if this, the wildfire starts right now, how can we now try and prevent that? So it's just really cool, again, to think of AI saving people, because that's what it's effectively doing. It's saving people. And we do talk about AI sort of within the medical field, but again, people, as Paula was kind of saying earlier, I feel like people are less prone to believe in AI in terms of sort of being there to do a stitch. We spoke about that on a previous episode, and all that kind of stuff. But then if you think about it, that's potentially saving a life. But then the fact that it can prevent a wildfire and can prevent all this damage to not only, wildlife, forests and people's homes, etc., it can cut down on all of that. So I think it's really encouraging to read about it and kind of see where that goes. Like, what else can they kind of use this like orbital imagery to kind of track and see? Yeah, it's really exciting to talk about.
Totally.
Yeah. It warms my heart when I think of people in their various jobs thinking of how to better humanity, to keep us safer in ways that are practical. You have to have the idea to say, you know what, let's test the foliage in these areas to see the water content and see what areas could possibly be more susceptible to the fires, the wildfires, and the spreading of the fires, because this area is drier than say another climate. Artificial intelligence always makes me so happy because in wanting to change the world for the better, the human aspect is important, but the human aspect combining with technology, so artificial intelligence, it puts us at an advantage to help people on a larger scale. If this was just a man-made operation, I mean, I could just, it would take so long. It would be so it would just take too long, and it would be like, well, when combining with artificial intelligence, we can save like hundreds of thousands of acres, as opposed to like, we got 20,000 acres done, which is amazing, and which is like not a small feat, not discrediting the human spirit and what we can do by ourselves. but thinking about that relationship with artificial intelligence, that coming together
Yeah.
really can change trajectories of nations. So that really encourages me in this whole discussion in our day to day, and also encourages me in my partnership with Arghon, because the possibilities are endless. Wherever you see a need and a place that could be better to help others, artificial intelligence can really drive it, propel it in a positive direction.
Mm-hmm. And I think even when you go onto the website as well, there's a link so you can actually go and see, what the AI is detecting. Which again, there's not a lot of websites, when we're reading these articles, that kind of, again, they explain it, but they don't necessarily show it. So again, the fact that you can do that is really cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
What I like about it is, that you can get closer into that kind of predictive analytics and response.
Yeah.
The idea of being able to, not just track, what all the spots are, but okay, so now that we know that we have these 4 spots and this one's currently on fire, where do we need to actually send, water? Where do we need to actually irrigate? Okay, what regions should not have houses built in this area because
Yeah.
the level to which it's prone to fires means that it's a risk. It's an insurance risk. It's a whatever it is. Yeah, it's amazing to think of all the lives, both human and animal, that would be saved by technology like this, when it's
Yeah.
able to be in wide use. And I do think when you think about like the training aspect, how I think it'd be really interesting to turn um, fire departments into power users,
Yeah.
right? Power users of artificial intelligence like this. So this is something that can be accessed by departments all across the world, to protect the global human interest of not having all of our environment burning up.
Right.
Yeah, because we all know that it was incredibly painful to hear about not just the California fires, but also the wildfires that were in Australia.
Yeah, that was horrible.
And I do believe, the wildfires that occurred in Brazil and South America as well, because the natural world is very important to us. And the great thing about that is that you can see with things like this that technology is not necessarily in opposition to the natural world and,
Yeah.
to that kind of environmental consideration, but in fact can go very much hand in hand with preserving the natural environment. So I think it's really cool, Jess. I like that you featured this article. I think it's such a good article to have as well after these kind of more intense
Yeah.
ones, to say, yes, there are all these concerns, but when we talk a lot about the opportunity. When we talk about the
Yeah.
opportunity, it's on the personal level of, now I have these skills, I can actually go and market these skills, and I can, code for other people and sell that and make 6 figures and whatnot. But there's also the larger opportunities when we talk about, as a society, how do we use AI? How does this help us? Well, it helps us do the human thing, which is to protect the natural world. It helps us to do, helps us to be in many ways better citizens of the planet.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to look at, technology like this, because it's all a part of the promise of AI. Things like this are not hype. This is truth. And I look forward to um, all of the many, many ways that we will see AI, you know, standing in that gap
Yeah.
when there are things that need to be changed, corrected, adjusted.
Yeah.
Because it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important, as I kind of mentioned at the start, was to sort of feature articles like this, because people don't necessarily jump to those kind of scenarios. So the fact that, yeah, AI can again be an aid, can be that kind of super companion to humanitarian, is amazing. And I just think it just makes me so happy, and it's so intriguing,
Yeah.
the fact that, imagine that the AI can even predict, okay, it's getting to this time of the year, so we know it's more prone, the branches, all of that are drier at this certain time. So imagine your AI being able to look out for everyone and the wildlife, and I just think it's amazing. It makes me really excited.
Yeah.
Ashley D95 has got a comment. Hi, Ashley D. Hello.
Hi, Ashley D95.
I think having an AI system that could detect wildfires is amazing, as this could free up the manual way of working and the workers could be used in other areas in that field of work. Very true.
Exactly.
Very true. That is a good comment.
That is really, really true. And also, you know, if things did move in a more artificial intelligence way, and it be like a computerized thing, they could, you know, have also partnerships with, you know, the forest rangers, and possibly like camping companies that, you know, people do like the bonfires and everything like that, and people who oversee that land kind of, you know, tipped off like, hey, these people have the bonfire, and you know, it's been running for like over 10 hours, just like a tip off, but it be electronically done. It be something that could possibly be more efficient in you know, monitoring you know, possible situations that can turn, you know, really not great quickly, you know. But I do love the feel good article. I love that artificial intelligence is being used in a way to enact positive change. You know, it's very refreshing to bring those articles to our Twitch channel, because it's just an extension of artificial intelligence. It's what it was made to do, was help you make your life easier. So why not help people in this kind of way? Not help why not help our earth in that kind of way. Um, for those who are just now tuning in, if you would like to see past episodes on the Arghon AI Twitch channel, be sure to head over to our videos portion of our channel, and you can see the episodes we have done in the past. A lot of fun watches. And if you have any questions or comments on those past live streams, as well as this one, no worries. You can still ask your questions. We are still able to answer them, and yeah, it's a good thing. Like this two-way communication doesn't stop just because we're not actively live on the Twitch channel. If you would like to learn more about Arghon Artificial Intelligence, who we are as a company, or if you are interested in downloading an AI to your device right now, head on over to arghon.com. If you've ever been interested in learning how to code, we've got you covered there too. You can head on over to arghon.com/vision2020 right now. You can sign up, get a free account. Everything is free. Free. You can learn how to code for AI, all of the lessons, as well as the same area to practice your coding for AI, to create whatever you want to create, whatever you want it to be. That's what it will be. It's available to you for free to use right now. So head on over and check it out. Arghon, we are also on YouTube, youtube.com/Arghon. Yes. Social media.
Our other socials, Instagram.
Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Arghon AI. That's ARGHON AI. You can catch us there too. We have a lot of fun content on all of our platforms, and yeah, let's interact on different social media platforms, because we bring you new, fresh, and exciting content on every different channel. So come and check us out. We're always happy to answer any questions or comments. And yeah, that's it for today's live stream. We want to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you here on Thursday, our Throwback Thursday episode. We are going to be discussing, you know, the format of our Throwback Thursday episode is anything that, you know, we interact with the normal way we do life now. You know, it could be technology, it could be, you know, it could be travel, it could be just anything that we are doing right now in our life. how it was in the past, how it currently is, and what a future imagined with artificial intelligence looks like. This week's topic will be wine production.
Ooh.
So be on the lookout for that episode this Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. British Summer Time. From all of us here on the Arghon team to you all watching at home, we want to say thank you so much, and we look forward to keep this conversation of artificial intelligence going. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you.